In the winter of 1942, while the war in Europe raged across continents, one of Germany's most vital lifelines pulsed quietly through the port of Bordeaux. Deep inside occupied France, German cargo ships unloaded oil, rubber, and strategic materials that fed the Reich's war machine. The harbor was heavily guarded, far beyond the reach of British bombers, protected by patrol boats, searchlights, and the belief that no enemy would dare to come so close. But war does not always arrive from the sky. Sometimes it comes silently, at water level. In a dimly lit briefing room in Britain, a small group of Royal Marines commandos studied a map of France. The plan placed before them was simple in concept and brutal in reality. Paddle-folding kayaks hundreds of kilometers into enemy territory, penetrate Bordeaux harbor at night, attach explosives directly to German ships, and escape on foot through occupied France. There would be no air support, no naval backup, and almost no margin for error. Everyone in the room understood the unspoken truth: this was a mission few would survive. In December, a British submarine surfaced in the cold Atlantic darkness. One by one, fragile wooden kayaks were lowered into black water. Compared to the steel giant that had carried them, the kayaks looked absurdly small. As the submarine slipped away beneath the waves, the commandos were left alone, surrounded by sea and silence. From that moment on, there was no retreat. Night after night, the men paddled inland, fighting tides, exhaustion, and the numbing cold. By day, they hit along riverbanks, covering their kayaks with mud and reeds, lying motionless for hours as German patrols passed nearby. Insects crawled over their faces, muscles stiffened. Sleep came in fragments, every sound felt amplified, every mistake potentially fatal. The river narrowed, the banks closed in, and the lights of Bordeaux slowly appeared on the horizon, glowing like a forbidden city. As they approached the harbor, German patrol boats swept the water with searchlights. The commandos froze in shadow, paddles hovering inches above the surface. Breathing slowed to near stillness. A beam passed so close it lit the ripples beside them, then moved on. Only then did they paddle. Again, slipping deeper into the maze of steel hulls and docks. Beneath towering German cargo ships, the kayaks pressed gently against cold steel. Above them, sailors smoked, laughed, and walked their routines, unaware that death waited just meters below. British commandos leaned out over the water, hands trembling not from fear but from cold and fatigue, and attached magnetic mines beneath the waterline. Each metallic click felt deafening. Timers were set. Silent hand signals passed between boats. Then, slowly, the kayaks withdrew into darkness. Minutes later, the harbor exploded. Shockwaves tore through the water as fire and steam erupted from beneath the ships. Steel buckled. Flames climbed into the night sky. German sailors stumbled across burning decks as alarms wailed and searchlights swung wildly. One ship began to list. Then another. Smoke rolled across the harbor as water poured through ruptured hulls. Bordeaux, once calm and secure, descended into chaos. For the British commandos, stealth was over. Their escape turned into a desperate race for survival. German patrol boats surged into the river, engines roaring. Beams of light cutting through smoke and mist. Kayaks scattered into narrow channels, scraping branches and mud as men paddled until their arms burned and hands bled. One kayak struck an obstacle and spun out of control. Others disappeared into reeds just seconds before searchlights swept past. The river became a trap, closing tighter with every kilometer. By dawn, exhaustion claimed what enemy fire could not. Some commandos were captured along the riverbanks, too weak to continue. Others were hunted relentlessly through occupied territory. Hitler's commando orders sealed their fate. Those taken alive would not return home. Only 2 men survived the escape. For days, they paddled, hid, and then abandoned their kayaks, moving on foot through hostile countryside, aided by the French resistance. When they finally reached safety, Bordeaux lay crippled behind them. Multiple German ships were sunk or disabled, their supply lines disrupted for months. The cost was devastating. Of the 12 who launched into the darkness, 10 were dead. Operation Frankton was never meant to be a clean victory. It was a gamble born of desperation, carried out by men who understood the price long before they ever touched the water. They knew that success did not guarantee survival, and that returning home was never promised. No medals could undo the loss, and no tactical achievement could erase the memory of burning hulls, shattered steel, and rivers that swallowed both fire and silence. Yet the raid proved something enduring, that even in an age of machines, tonnage, and industrial warfare, courage, ingenuity, and human resolve could still strike a blow far beyond their size. In the aftermath, the harbor of Bordeaux lay wounded. Ships smoldered at their moorings, some half submerged, others twisted beyond repair. German supply routes slowed. Repairs dragged on for months, and the illusion of absolute security was broken. But these were numbers and reports gold, measurements of success. The real cost was written elsewhere, in the absence of voices that never returned, and in the quiet spaces left behind by men who vanished into history. In the still waters of Bordeaux, the flames eventually died. Smoke drifted away, debris settled, and the river resumed its ancient, indifferent flow. To the world, the night became just another entry in the long ledger of war. But the story of the Cockleshell Heroes did not sink with the ships. It endured in memory, in training manuals, in whispered respect among those who understood what the mission truly demanded. They did not paddle for glory, nor for recognition. They paddled because the mission required it, because someone had to go, and because retreat was never part of the plan. Most of them would never see home again, but all of them crossed a line few would dare to approach. And in doing so, they carved their place into history not as conquerors, but as men who accepted impossible odds and moved forward anyway.